Yeah, well, so we've got two eyes, but we see one world. And so, part of the mechanism of seeing one world is making sure that both eyes are pointed to the same place in space. So, if we move our eyes from distance to near, we have to move the eyes. We also have to adjust our focusing. So, convergence is the act of moving your eyes inward. Divergence is the act of moving your eyes outward. And so, convergence gets a lot of attention as one of those functions because we do a lot of converging, with near work and those sorts of things. And accommodation is that adjustment in the focusing. And the reason that the two names go together is that they're a part of the one process of being able to keep the world single and clear. And in modern life, that's particularly important for keeping the world single and clear when we're doing near work.
Mm. So when you say accommodation of focus, are you talking about like the is it the crystalline lens
Yeah, and I've got my
focus?
model here.
Yeah.
So, favorite model. So we've got a lens that is flexible called the crystalline lens. So it's basically an elastic bag full of cells, and we have the ciliary muscle around it. And so we activate the ciliary muscle, which allows the crystalline lens to change shape.
Mm.
And so when we move our focus from distance to near, it's the lens that's actually sort of changing in the eye. So it's a way of adjusting the focus. And so
Mm.
that's where the sort of more scientific or medical term of accommodation comes from.
Mm. So I guess so in my own mind, I'm thinking that if you think of the eyes as like two different cameras, and so they've got to be pointed, in the right direction, but also the lenses themselves have to be focused properly. Is that
Exactly. And
right?
if you use the camera example, I'm going to be careful around camera examples because it's fairly static, but that's probably an optometric problem rather than a problem for other people. But if we think of how a lens and a camera works,
Mm.
the old school ones where you adjusted the focus and the lens moved in and out, well, you've got lenses inside that don't change shape. So you change the distance between the lenses in order
Mm.
to change the focus as you move closer and further from whatever you're trying to take a picture of. So what we have instead is a lens that changes its own power and its own
Mm.
curvature inside the eye to do that adjustment. So, and it's
Mm.
all about, if we have a look at the retina being effectively the film that you're trying to put focus the image on, then it's all about, as you move your attention to different distances, then we need to readjust how that image lands on the back of the eye. And that's what that lens is all about.
Right. Okay. So there's at least two different systems here involved in getting good vision. Um, so
Correct.
why do these systems then sometimes fall out of balance?
Well, we're basically designed to be moving around in a three-dimensional world, and instead we sit still looking at two-dimensional things like you and I are doing right now. And so you've got this motor system that's designed where the eyes are constantly moving. The focusing system is constantly adjusting to keep the world single and clear as we move and look at different distances. And then so once you sort of make the focusing system have to sit still at a certain distance, it's going to
Mm.
fatigue.
Mm.
And it's really just not designed to hold posture. And it's much like any part of the rest of your body. If you're holding posture for too long, you're
Mm.
naturally going to get fatigue. And so what we see as a fallout is the direct effects of that fatigue,
Mm.
creating symptoms, but also you've got this sort of flexibility between your focusing and your convergence system to try and keep everything in balance. And so there's
Mm.
a little bit of degrees of freedom where you can adjust one to keep the other working, and vice versa. But that has limits. And when you hit the limits of those adjustments, that's when you start to get symptoms of some sort.
Mm. Okay. And is this something that would show up in a regular eye test, like your typical, annual check with the optometrist?
No, well, it depends what's tested. So it is the kind of thing that you do need to go looking for. So,
Mm.
if we have a look at, you know, what are the core parts of an eye exam? You've got checking your sight, checking what your prescription is in order to maintain good sight. They're distanced kind of tests.
Mm.
We're looking at eye health in a variety of ways: the front of eye health, back of eye health, measuring pressure.
Mm.
You can do some rudimentary kind of tests on where do your eyes kind of rest in their position, but that really doesn't really tell you about how flexible your eyes are, how well they're
Mm.
working under endurance and changing sort of situations. those kind of tests are sort of extensions. You have to go looking for those kind of tests.